Rich evening, rich night, rich morning, afternoon, whenever you see this. My name's Ori, Ori Tala. Go by Z, they, they pronouns respectfully, or really any pronouns preferably, but yeah. Fem, them. Hi. I'm here to talk about basically like my transformation from a decade ago and why I also feel like you're not late, you're right on time. You're never too late, you're right on time. Divine timing is real. Vulnerability definitely can serve as a superpower, and it's something that's been underestimated and underrated, like the authenticity of transparency with the vulnerability. And I'm someone who releases a lot, feels like I've evolved a lot since that time. I mean, I would hope you would evolve in like a 10 years time, right? Like, you know? But yeah, a lot of people wouldn't assume this or know this information has been very like close-knit information. I medically withdrew a decade ago from college I was attending, and it was due to the fact that it just felt like I was being left behind from situations that really traumatized me, basically, like being essayed overseas while studying abroad, for instance, being surrounded by people, really certain people, roommates at the time, that and friends from back home, friends from here, St. Louis. So yeah, that, or those people at that time, because we're no longer that. We all have to move on and move on out, right? But yeah, the reality of that situation really painted an ugly picture of trust and protection and feeling secure. And of course, after that situation, I was not feeling secure about many things, especially when something like that happens out of the country, and I'm such a thriving for life, traveling, nomadic person. I didn't want that incident at the end of my overseas venture to stop me from loving traveling. So after that happened, that was like May 2nd of 2015. And I haven't talked about this in a while, at least in a bit of detail, so pardon me. But yeah, I was left behind in that situation. I medically withdrew. Quite literally felt like a bit of a setup. It was crazy. I realized, especially after the episodes of PTSD started, what I called then like going back to Pluto, going to Pluto, like the darkest place in the solar system, or our solar system is what I called it. I would have these like NES, these non-epileptic seizures, where I would be like fully awake but experiencing like a flashback and a moment of like stillness, but also heightened anxiety because I couldn't move my body as much. I was just like stuck in this, like, look it up, NES. But yeah, I was just like stuck in this moment of flashback and horror, and then coming out of it and being like kind of hysterical, super heightened and emotional bits, right? So that had not been my first incident of non-consensual activities. I had unfortunately had those experiences with family members and people that just overreached and felt entitled to me as a person. And yeah, like having to medically withdraw basically my junior/senior year of college was heavy. Seeing everybody graduate was really like a lot to like have happened. And now and even though like all of those people, so many people were in question at that time, a purging of people had to happen for me then. And I was in my early 20s, and yeah, really just stepping into starting my healing journey in depthly after that, because I hadn't told really anyone up until outside of like the significant other at the time, and that was a lot. This is like a lot of like build up, and then some trauma bonding with that person, and they did their best with what they could do at the time too, you know. So it was just like a lot of heavy energies. But flash forward to this year, I had the opportunity to be funded for this artist residency down in Mexico City, and I was brought back to this space of like really being reignited with travel, because I hadn't traveled since 2015, thanks pandemic and, you know, other essences of financial instabilities in life, you know, happening. So yeah, I came into the fruition of really feeling called to Mexico for quite a while, honestly, like since around the pandemic. And the opportunity really more so presented itself for me solo this year. And I went, and I felt like, wow, this was everything I wanted it to be, and then some more, you know. But yeah, it was a lot of different like frequencies of realizing that even though I felt like I was left behind, quite literally, because of the betrayal, because of the lack of security, the lack of trust in people, I came to a full circle moment this year of like being enhanced spiritually, being enhanced with my gifts, feeling full throttle and like into my knowledge of self, and then also the frequencies around me, like really trusting and having faith more. Yeah, and so many things happened between that time, honestly. Like I started my healing journey, I started doing Reiki, I did what I called like community like healing in a sense, somewhat, even though it was like a lot of trauma, because I don't know, St. Louis has always been a place where I felt like I've been here, but I don't really feel like I've been here. Like it feels very alien to be here. Because I always feel like I stood out from the crowd. I stood out from like my classmates. I stood out, not that I wanted to. I was always trying to be kind of I wouldn't say I was always trying to be in the background. Like when I would exist out loud, I would be bullied and bigoted and all kinds of really wild things, especially being a Black queer person in this setting. It was extremely harsh and heavy, and a lot of colorism, a lot of racism here in the city. Progressively being in this little bubble that is St. Louis. It's everywhere has its problems, right? But with all of that, so much I leaned on to with people that had been in my life for a really long time, like literally since like preschool, and recognizing, honestly, from the moment Mike Brown was killed, that my life was forever changed, like in so many ways, with people that I wanted to take with me on this journey and feel secure and loved by wholeheartedly. But I want y'all to understand that love is really understanding, even when maybe it doesn't understand all the way, but it gives the attempt and the trial of wanting to understand. And a lot of the time, from said people, even when I was like thinking I was being understood, I felt like I was mostly being siphoned for my energy. And then there was other elements of like people not educating themselves, not really like, especially as a Black person, you have like non-Black friends, and you're feeling like you're doing a lot of the teaching and heavy lifting, right? Like you're doing all of this work, internally, you're doing this shadow work, you're doing this light work, you're really going deep, you're bawling your eyes out like having these sessions not only with your therapist but with your social work friends, your like community of people that are like chosen family and things. So you're doing all this work, and then like the people that you've had around you, historically speaking, for the lengthiest amount of time, don't do the work. And it feels like, you're also being left behind in that sense of like, you could be elevated and uplifted by these people, but they're also not choosing to uplift and elevate themselves. So you're kind of you're just staying small. You're just shrinking yourself. Yeah. And that journey, 1144, a lot of 1s and 4s today. But yeah, I just really felt like Spirit came to me today and was like, you need to speak up and speak out. And I've been holding this back, I'm not gonna lie, kind of I guess I just wanted to say it, be able to say it and present it a certain way. Perfectionism, Virgo shit. I sometimes I struggle with being vulnerable because of how unauthentic people have been around me, emotionally manipulative and things like that. But yeah, being left behind in that situation really taught me a lot about resilience and strength and security and trust. And having certain people surrounding me even after that who felt secure, it didn't really feel secure. It took time for me to rebuild myself, to have some professional therapizing, to talk it out with people around me, like even my mom. Like I hadn't told her like until a year after it happened, and it really felt like a big release when I told her, but it also felt like heavier because it was almost more real. I was like telling her was gonna make it more real. So that's been the whole thing, and I've been just like allowing myself to re-navigate that and allow myself to really heal that. Reiki really helped a lot. I'm grateful for the people who guided me in that.